Hello, everybody. I'm Rhino Clavin here, and in this segment that was a part of our DIS Holiday Auction for Give Kids the World, we're going to be talking with the rest of our DIS Unplugged team and family and talk to them about our favorite holiday traditions. And to help me have this conversation, we have a very, very special guest with us today, my co-star in life, Miss Kylie Williams.
Hi there.
And we've got the wonderful Jackie Gailey.
Hi, everybody.
I was going to make up a made-up word for you, Kathy. So inscrutable. I can't do it anymore. We've got Teresa Eccles.
Hey.
Tyler in the back there.
Hello.
Tyler Crouch. Katrina Manzoni.
Hello.
Craig Williams, the man who makes it happen.
Wait, there's a shadow.
Somebody got in the house. Did we check the locks?
And Rory.
Somebody got in the house.
Yeah. No, but thank you guys. The auction so far has been going well. At this point in the auction, we've raised over $39,000, which is awesome. This is only day one of this auction as of the recording of this, so we've got a long way to go still to raise all this money, which is just amazing. But Pete thought it would be a fun, two fun things. One, to tell me 10 minutes before this that I was going to host it, and then that we're going to talk about our holiday traditions. So excuse me if I'm a little frazzled, but aren't those the best holidays that are just insanity and crazy?
Oh, yeah. It's only good if it's
like
insane.
he's the director and he's giving us the motivation for our character right now. So I'm just going to run with that.
Wow.
And
That's very deep.
so earlier in this marathon show, we spoke about
Marathon?
what?
Marathon
show. We spoke about our some of us spoke about our favorite holiday entertainment, which was like movies, music, TV specials, stuff like that. So for this one, I thought it would be I thought it would be fun to just kind of move beyond that, like favorite food, places to go, things that we do with our families. And Teresa, why don't we start with you? Do you have a favorite like holiday food tradition, something around food?
Yes, and it's at every Thanksgiving meal and every Christmas meal, and we call it Grandma Salad.
Grandma salad.
Grandma salad.
Tell me about Grandma salad.
Grandma Salad is basically a pink Jello salad, usually made with strawberry
ambrosia?
Jello. Yeah, I guess you would call it ambrosia. Just Jello, Cool Whip, fruit. But my entire life, going back to the 60s, my first Christmases that I remember, my grandmother Ravenscraft always made this at every holiday. And when she died in the early 80s and no longer made it, my sister and I picked it up, and one of us always make it for every holiday.
Oh,
What
I
fruit do
love
you
that.
typically put in it?
Drained pineapple and then like fruit cocktail.
Okay.
And nuts, usually walnuts, or I usually put walnuts in mine.
Yeah, see, my dad has a holiday favorite that Kylie just absolutely despises.
Oh.
And we call it orange fluff, and it's the Jello with mandarin oranges and then Cool Whip thrown in, and then you let it settle in the refrigerator, and there's
like she's gonna
textures,
gag.
there's jiggling,
Yes.
and
It's pretty.
Yeah.
Kylie
My
is
mother makes-
dry heaving.
My mother makes another one that's called stained glass, and it's different colors of Jello. And as it's right before it settles, enough where they wouldn't mix together. You mix it all together with Cool Whip, and it looks like stained glass and clouds.
that's
It's very
cool.
pretty.
Oh, neat.
Yeah,
I feel like we don't do enough with Jello these days. I'm not going to
Jello
lie.
is to me is very post-war 50s, 60s.
Yeah.
I've got numerous cookbooks on Jello molds and from that era.
Well, that was a big thing in The Shape of Water, was he was designing the poster for Jello, and it's just one of those things. Like when we were kids, I really remember like Jello jigglers being a big thing.
Yeah,
Like you
that
were
came
not
when you
cool.
were- when you were little,
Yeah,
yeah.
if you didn't have like Jello jiggler cutouts, and
yeah.
so
Jello pudding pops are just amazing.
yeah.
But that and holiday candy that we make ourselves. Those are the two things that we can't live without.
And you do your special hard candy, don't you?
Yes,
Your
my
homemade
stained
hard
glass candy.
Yeah.
We do like 8 to 10 flavors of that every year.
Oh wow, jeez, how long does that take to make that?
It's not long. Once I perfected it, the first year I made it, it sent my husband to the dentist because it adhered to his teeth and he couldn't get it off.
Oh my god.
The second year I made it, he had to go to the doctor because it lacerated his gums. I
Oh,
cooked it too long and it was like shards of glass in his mouth. And then I didn't make it for like 5 years. And then I want to make it because it was so pretty. And I finally got it down where, I can do it now without even thinking about it.
Well, I was going to say make some for me, but now I'm nervous.
No, it's perfect now. It's perfect now.
The perfect murder weapon.
Right.
Glass.
Little jar of glass.
Yeah.
Merry
Enjoy.
Christmas.
What about you, Kathy? Do you got something special in the food department?
We make homemade sausage. That's something that's been carried down from generation to generation, and we've sort of taken it more high tech. We use the KitchenAid, where we used to use the hand crank and grind the meat and stuff the sausage and that. So Katie now is the one that's learned how to do it for the next generation, and we do nut rolls. I'm not a big baker, but I'll do that. And I used to do fruitcake, and I made an awesome fruitcake.
Ooh.
Honestly, it was. No, it was. It was.
Can't tell you
real-
how many fruit cakes we passed around in our family. Do you use natural casings
One
for your
hosting the show
sausage?
right now.
Yeah, hog casings.
Hog casings, yeah. Awesome.
Oh, God. I can't talk about the casings of meat. It starts to make me, nauseous.
Kathy, do you do any Pittsburgh foods for Christmas? Or, I mean, obviously sausage.
Yeah,
Us Northerners
that's about it.
love our high fatty meats, but
Yeah, who else puts French fries and coleslaw and everything on that
Oh, but
sandwich?
it's
Oh, it's
so good.
Wait a
That
minute,
is
what?
so good.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah,
It's
you
so
gotta go
good.
to Permanis,
Permanis.
and every sandwich is on Italian bread. And
Okay.
You can have fish or roast beef or whatever you want on it, but it all comes with French fries and coleslaw on top of it.
In the sandwich.
Interesting. Okay.
It's like a moist
It's
maker all year
delicious.
long that will kill you.
My sandwich. What about you? What about you, Jackie? Do you have a food tradition?
That's so funny. We do. So when I was a little girl, I used to love to make sugar cookies with these little friends that I had, and we'd make sugar
Oh,
cookies.
she had little friends.
And the mom would make like a half a dozen of little bowls of different colored frosting. So we do that now. And
That's
my kids
nice.
love it. We do it every Christmas, and we make just a ton of sugar cookies, and we sit there and decorate them, and
That's so fun.
it's really, really fun.
It is, and
Yeah.
it's something everybody can do.
Yeah.
At some level.
Yeah, even before we moved here, when we were back home, my little niece and nephew, they could do it too. Little tiny toddlers.
tiny
I
kids
mean,
do
it's
it.
really cute.
You don't want to eat the cookies they frosted, but
No.
You don't want to eat anything.
I mean,
like
they're
that.
cute, and a lot
Right.
of times they have extra frosting on
oh
them.
right,
So,
I like that.
yeah, they're really. It's
That's
fun.
the stuff that you make with your family and your kids and their friends.
Yeah.
I mean, Grace and Stella's friends come over to make the stained glass candy with us now.
Oh, isn't it
and they're all
fun?
standing there wanting, a special flavor. Everybody takes some. I mean,
I
that's the
love
best,
that.
That's
just
the best time.
having- like being in your kitchen. So we have an island in the kitchen, and just being in your kitchen with everyone
Yeah.
filling in the spots around the island, just everybody right there. I just love it.
Doesn't have to be perfect, but
Yeah,
it turns out perfect
it's
because
fun.
it's fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what about you guys? What about Tyler and Katrina? Do you guys have a holiday food or?
I need to eat prime rib on Christmas. That's like my thing. And then his mom actually like kicked my mom's prime rib out of the water. She's like, get out of here, Leanne.
Yeah,
and then his mom is like delicious.
My mom, she takes a mortar and pestle and she smashes up garlic and a few different herbs and some pepper and things like that, and it goes all over the prime rib, and then she cooks it for it takes probably 6 or 7 hours or something. And then it's the most amazing thing you've ever had. The crust, just everything about it. And the best part, though, is we do these things called popovers, which are basically it's Yorkshire pudding. We just call them popovers. And it is, you take a little bit of the beef drippings instead of using butter, and you put it in there, and they just erupt out of the tin that you cook them in, and it's just amazing. Everything
Ooh,
together.
I'm on board with that.
Oh, it's so good. And the cream spinach and all the mashed potatoes, just everything together. You can take that skin from the prime rib and put it on anything, and it's amazing. So that's our celebration.
You guys.
I like to make almond brittle too. That's my thing.
Ooh,
I found
that's
it in an
good.
old recipe book of my mom's.
Yeah.
That red cookbook.
Yeah.
That old one. And I found a brittle
Betty
that was really, really
Crocker or
good. And I have to
something,
make it every year.
I was scared. Everybody in here had a sweet thing, and you guys went right to the meat. So
Prime
you
rib.
got,
Boom.
says a lot about character. You're scary. So I know, but that's cool. What about you, Kylie?
So we've come down to Florida since I was little, and I'm halfway convinced my family wants to kill me because every Christmas Eve we have crab legs. And if you know
gosh.
anything about me, I'm highly allergic to shellfish. So there's been a couple years where people have cracked crab legs, and it's gotten on me, and I've swelled up. So
It just flies through the air and gets on you?
well, If
when you pop
When
it,
you
when you're,
crack it,
cracking
so like
and,
yeah.
the
and you're
juices
close
fly-
enough for it to
I'm
get
at a
in.
table. I'm not gonna sit by myself
What
on
do they
Christmas.
feed you?
They let her sit at the adults table now.
I get to sit there now. I worked real hard.
Yeah.
But
They fix something for you while they're doing.
we do
killing
steak
you?
and crab legs. So I eat the steak. Everyone else eats the
Okay.
death legs.
The death
Death
legs.
legs.
Do you eat them?
I did the first year she brought me over for family and Christmas, and I don't think I've had them since. Maybe like one other time, but I that was back when I didn't care as much, I guess you could say. But
About
now I
Kylie
do.
or the food?
Well, no, about
Guys.
the concern of like doing like, because the first time I'll get to mine when I get to it, but that was seafood, like crab legs was not a thing for my family. So as soon as I get crab legs thrown in front of me,
You're gonna
of
go,
course I'm
yeah.
gonna go for the crab legs. But now I hold
Now
a
I
lot of
care.
restraint. Yeah, see
So you were
Now I
sucking
know-
on
now I know-
peanuts and then kissing her in
Well,
the
she-
early
no,
days.
no.
and
He's
then-
like, now
that's
he
what
knows
he
the
was doing.
relationship's going somewhere. He's fine.
But then
Before
it's
I was like,
also it's been replaced because over at her family's house, it's like the simplest thing in the world that they do. I'm sure a lot of other people did it, but I didn't have it in my life until her family. But that's just taking like a bag of frozen meatballs and dipping it in a crock pot full of barbecue sauce and just having barbecued meatballs. And I probably eat about like 40 of those.
I've never
And-
seen anyone consume as many meatballs as
Really?
this man consumed.
You need to try my ham balls. Balls I made.
No, there's no eating your balls.
I can't.
Don't bring
No,
that
am
in
I
here.
serious? Are they not amazing?
Yes.
No one beats.
Wow. I was like, this is slowly becoming that episode of Saturday Night Live.
It
The
is.
two, like the.
No, but they're so moist. They're moist.
Get
they're
out of here. I will
sweet,
cut your
they're-
microphone feed.
They're just the right size.
Well, I mean,
Thanks so much, Martha.
yeah, that's just on the funny side of that. When my dad first started watching and experienced Teresa, that's exactly who he compared her to, one of the two on Delicious Dish, and it's like, yeah, that's Teresa. So
Yeah.
her and her sweaty balls.
I do make good ham balls, though.
There it is.
I'll make
I don't
extra.
even know what ham balls are. I'm assuming meatballs, but like in ham form.
Well, there's like smoked ham in it and sausage and
Oh, it's a lot of meats. Okay.
it's 3 different meats and it's just the goodness.
Oh, the goodness.
The goodness of my balls are just awesome. Sorry. Okay.
That was
People
on
ask
my
where you're
MySpace
from.
profile when it first came out. So you said you liked the Jello thing your dad made, but do you have a different one that you need every year?
I'm gonna take you on a fine journey of
Oh,
all
no.
the dining
Lord,
with
here we
me.
go.
So yeah, there's a strap
Buckle
in
your
because this
seatbelts.
is gonna be a long
It's going
one.
to be like a week-long adventure.
Yeah, I already had to lecture my mom this week about cookies and stuff, so it's about to happen again. So in terms of the baked good items, there's lots of different things I like, but one of my favorite things I think is black bottom cupcakes. Which is
You
basically,
talked about those before.
Yeah, I love. They're essentially just little chocolate mini cupcakes, but then mixed with chocolate chips and cream cheese, and it is just sublime when they're all together. And that's like my favorite of the desserts. So
Only
I
made
also,
at the holiday time?
Oh, yeah, pretty much. My mom will make them random times if I make it home any other time throughout the year. But basically, I only get home for usually
Holidays.
Christmas at the most part anymore. But like for Thanksgiving, she brought them down with her for me, as well as oatmeal style cookies, which I love any oatmeal cookies, and she loads them up with Crisco, just like
Raisin?
I
No?
don't like raisins. That's just-
Crisco, you can't beat Crisco's like the miracle thing. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
I know it makes everything taste better.
It
It
I won't
sponsors the
touch it.
holidays, essentially.
And she makes the sugar cookies too with all the fun designs and ices them perfectly. And I will only eat hers, but they're not my favorite overall. But I do appreciate them, and I love looking at them, especially at Christmas time. And
Are they flat and crunchy or soft and moist?
they're the time. They're
what? I mean,
She keeps doing that.
legitimate
I
question.
know you are.
they're the ones that definitely they'll end up crunching up. But
Okay.
they still have just the slight bit of softness
See,
on
I
the
like
inside
mine
too.
a little more crunchier. My sisters are always too
Yeah,
soft. And
it
chewy.
doesn't. It's not like too brittle and dries apart, but they're pretty good. I would recommend them. But the big deal is the actual like Christmas dinner. So Christmas Eve, I will, if I'm home for Christmas, I'll do the cooking on the grill. So it will either, unless it's snowing outside, and then I'll have to go inside. Which that happened last time I was at home, so it was fun. Got snow on Christmas Eve and Christmas, so that was good. But I'll either cook salmon or asparagus, one of those
pisses
two.
Me off.
Well, or sorry, I'll either cook salmon or filet mignon with.
Salmon or asparagus only.
Yeah.
Either or, you
never
don't
together.
get both.
I'll do salmon or filet mignon with asparagus on the side too, and then my mom will make like rice, and we'll have salad and lots
So
of
that's
wine
always
like
Christmas
you should.
Eve?
That's Christmas Eve, and then for Christmas Day, lunch or dinner in there. Then she'll cook Salisbury steak. So once again, she
love
gets out the
Salisbury
Crisco and just
That's interesting.
yeah.
So no ham or turkey.
If we would go over to like relatives' house, back when we used to do that, we would get ham or turkey from either or on that. But since now us coming home is kind of a big deal, we don't typically go to relatives' houses anymore for that because we're home. I kind of want to be at home. But
once you move away, you got to do that. But talking about Christmas Eve, before we moved to the South, Christmas Eve was always a soup dinner for us, something warm to come into after you played out in the snow. It always was either chili or potato soup or some sort of stew. Then off to bed you go before Santa comes.
Yeah, and it always snowed on Christmas Eve when you were growing up.
Yes.
Yeah, every year in your memory there was always snow, even though.
And it was a quiet
never like
snow.
that.
It was always. I just love it, because you'd sit next to the Christmas tree with all the lights out except the Christmas lights, and the curtains wide open so you could see the snow.
Yeah, for me, it was the memory of we'd either be leaving Ohio from our relative's house or we'd be leaving church, one of the two, and you'd always see the snow start to pick up as you were driving, and it does that. You think you're going to Lightspeed in Star Wars, Star Wars,
because
once it all starts shooting right at you.
I beg your pardon. My father would put the high beams on and say warp speed. So we were a Star Trek family. Yes.
I can remember a few years. Town of 350, 2 churches. One of them would host Christmas Eve services.
Do Christmas Day.
And if we'd walk to church on Christmas Eve, in the snow.
You'd walk to
Quiet.
church. Wow. Yeah.
Well, because we're talking 4 blocks over. It's a small town.
Yeah.
I mean, it was. It's not like that anymore.
I know. Well,
Maybe somewhere.
I mean, I grew up in a small town, but not close enough to the church to walk to it. But I don't know. I mean, we have the traditional stuff that you make. My parents are divorced, and so I always spent Christmas Eve with my father and Christmas Day with my mother. And so my dad can't cook, but he's got Bob Clavin's Pigs in a Blanket. And that is his. He is serious about it. Like he is every year.
Like little crescent rolls.
Oh yeah, he tells me you get the little tiny wieners. You put them in the little roll, and he's like, you got to get a specific
Cocktail
roll.
wieners.
Yep, and you got to leave them in the oven for a certain amount of time. I'll tell you, they were always real good. But
Rhino did not acquire the skill of making those though, because he came over for Halloween and brought over. He wanted to do Pigs in a Blanket, and he brought over just full-length Oscar Mayer hot dogs.
You did not.
He wanted to make mummies.
that was last year.
making
I was trying to make
mummies.
mummies, and they were big boy mummies.
They're big.
Oh,
They
big
were
boy
big
mummies.
mummies. Yeah, they didn't need their mummy.
We used to have that was a fall food we would have, the pigs in the blanket.
Yeah.
And then my mom would make these little. I'm gonna go back to it. Like
say moist
Bisquick
again,
balls,
Okay.
made out of Bisquick and cheese.
Your family
and-
rolled a lot of
I
things,
know there was
right?
a lot of balls.
When in doubt, put it in your hands, roll it up, put it on a plate.
Ball form.
Somebody's gonna eat it.
and spinach and Parmesan cheese balls.
Oh, that sounds good.
Those are good.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Those
Yeah.
are really good.
Were
It's
they moist?
They were moist.
Cut Kathy's mic. She's
And a
done.
little brown on the top. Some of them, yeah, they were. Yeah,
I've been trying to do when I was a kid. I remember my mom made it, but she hated making it. Apparently, the holiday roll. So you do like the can of pumpkin and you put it in. And,
like a log.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Like
you
a
do
Yule
the cream
log
cheese in the
thing,
middle.
yeah.
So I was doing that, and then a couple years ago, I found a recipe for. Are you familiar with the customary English trifle?
Yes.
Peas.
You didn't put beef in it.
No,
did
I
you?
didn't put my
Yeah,
beef in
really.
my
I was gonna
sausage
say,
peas.
didn't you? Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a joke I make every year. But my aunt made a really good one every year. She makes this it's like whipped cream, but it's got like chocolate pudding, and then there's like chunks of brownies in it and stuff. But so I was like, oh, that's great. And now I'm away from my family. I want to try and do that too. So I make a pumpkin gingerbread version of that. And it is off the chain. It is one of the only things that I can actually make, and I do it every year. And I was gonna make it on Thanksgiving, but the oven was being used for too long, so I didn't get to make it. But
You have to
I was gonna bring it
work
for us
on
today.
your
but-
timing, and everything will fit in.
I know that is the hard part about these things. I'm pretty terrible at it. One of the things my mom likes to do now every time I come home is for Christmas Eve we like to have a themed drink. So we
that's
try
nice.
and get like creative with it too. And we try to be real fancy. We're not just talking like doing shots and getting wasted. We're talking like marshmallow fluff on the rim of the glass with you break up the candy cane. You
Break
dip
up
that.
the glass.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, smash the glass.
Chew on the glass.
Sisters in the emergency room, that sort of thing.
Peppermint chocolate martini.
That's what we did last
Yes,
year.
sir.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
a New Year's thing for us, something like that.
Well, yeah. I mean, we'll try to come up with one for that too, because my birthday's January 1st, so we try to have like a birthday drink or whatever too. But
And that's all a part of the holidays too.
Oh,
The
it
holidays
is. It
last-
is.
It's fun.
I
the
did say
time.
holiday. I didn't specify.
Okay, and I'm going to go back to it. This is the last time I'm going to mention it, okay? So when I make my ham balls, I make them early enough because you have to freeze them. And I usually make it makes like 4-gallon bags full of these balls. So half of them now are for Christmas Eve, and the rest of them come for New Year's Eve. And that's when we...
Well, that's the thing my mom is all about. I mean, not the ham
It's like
balls, but
to
my
me,
mom's.
New Year's Eve, if I'm home, is all about finger food and
Yeah.
my sausage cream cheese dip.
My mom
which
does
is off the
that. You
chain.
always got to have a crock pot going with meatballs in it at
Yeah.
some point that you can. That is the traditional. It's New Year's Eve, and whether there are people there or not, you have better got your crock pot going with those meatballs in it. I swear to God. So,
Aw, see, I think it's really cute that you're trying to make stuff from
I'm trying
home
to do
too. Because I
with
do
your own
that
spin,
too.
He has to.
yeah.
That's why you have to, or it just
You do,
it's
'cause
gone.
it goes-
All you have
yeah.
is your memory.
Yeah.
So you've got to keep doing these things.
Yeah, it's fun.
Just like he's like I was 30 years ago. When I'm first out on your own, and you try to
do
can't go
that
home
stuff.
for the holidays.
Yeah.
You got to do what you got to do. You got to keep the wieners little though, because
That's my mistake. I went for too big of the wiener. So
See, and like us, we don't have, so our family's not here. It's just
mine
us.
doesn't either. It's just us.
Yeah, and it's hard at the holidays sometimes,
It
'cause
is. You
it's
call
like,
them on the phone. This is what'd you make. This is what I made. This is
It's like not the same.
and you compare is yours better than mine. Whatever.
right. Yep. And
everybody's is better than everybody's on the phone.
Well, it's,
Like,
but like my mom always made these individual beef Wellingtons. So we would get filet mignons and she would buy puff pastry. And then we would sit there and we'd get the kids busy with the sugar cookies. And then we would do the puff pastry wrapped. So my dad would put the fillets on the grill, and he'd do them on each side only for a couple minutes to get the grill marks, and get them sealed in. So it didn't cook them all the way. But then we'd all sit there and put the pastry around them, throw them in the oven. And it was like this whole big thing. And it's just so fun to have everybody in the kitchen.
Tradition is important, and
know?
I realize that as I'm getting older.
Yeah.
Now that my parents are pushing 90, my mother-in-law, they don't bake or make the things that they used to. So now it's up to our generation.
Yeah.
And I want my kids. I don't have a child. Well, Max a little bit. They don't care to cook, and it's just breaking my heart. I've had to adopt a few.
sorry.
What is he laughing about?
Because
going on over there with this guy?
But Craig has texted me because I've been using my phone in between the shots because Pete has been texting me because before the show, when we were talking about the auction updates, we said when we hit over 40,000, I would take my shirt off. And Pete has been texting me throughout the show.
Oh no!
I was like, I'm not taking my shirt. And then he said, so we're at 41,182. I was 190. I was wondering how far I could go
I have to
before I
say the
acknowledged
chat
it.
really wants you to take your shirt off.
I'm
They
gonna.
want you to take your shirt off, and they want to know where Kylie's from.
Oh, I thought you were gonna. And I was like, how dare you? I will.
Well, let's do the easy one. Kylie, where are you from?
I am from Atlanta, Georgia, Lilburn, Georgia, to be exact.
Yay!
Yeah,
I love Lilburn.
born and raised. I didn't know you. Have we had this conversation?
We have. I lived in Stone Mountain. I lived in
Oh,
Atlanta. Yeah.
That's great.
I have a new tradition that my mom has
Your
started
shirt's
this
coming off?
year. And my shirt.
Scandal.
I will take my shirt off for the last 15 minutes of the show. Okay.
Wait, we gotta.
That's a
That
lot
long?
Of
Promise what you don't
That's
want
a lot
to
of
do.
minutes.
You want me to just keep it off the whole time? It's cold in here. I can't do it yet. I'll do it for the last
No,
15
no.
minutes. Yeah. I have a snake in my lap right now. So.
Don't we all?
So my mom she sent me a message the other day. She says she's going to start doing this. They're really into the Great British Bake Off.
Oh, I love that show.
So she's
That's
been
the best
taking
show.
what she's been doing is with my nephews and my nieces, she'll give them a challenge. And so they all had to make pancakes. So she gave them the batter and they're like, okay, you have to make the pancake. And then you have to like make 3 or 4 different creative ones. And then my aunt came over and judged them. And I was like, that's really cute. So she says she started it before Thanksgiving. And I think she said there's going to be 6 challenges. It's going to end the last week of the year. So it's like over the holiday season, they get to do stuff. And
That's fun.
there's going to be a winner. And I'm sure she'll have like a special
I
gift
also
or
love
something, but-
the little kids when they cook and they make them cry and they leave and
It makes me upset because they're so much better at cooking than
Master
I
Chef.
ever
I know,
will be.
right?
Yeah.
A 6-year-old out there doing. I couldn't even play with the fire when I was 6. And
I can barely make cereal.
no.
Would you?
Nobody can say it didn't come off. I did not shave my chest. I look like Austin Powers.
Yeah, baby.
I don't want anybody else.
Well, I've got a question to
Yeah,
pose on
please.
holiday traditions. So we've kind of, now that we brought the kids element in, what types of families did, I don't know the right way to
You
word
try to
this on there.
avoid at the
No.
holidays? Oh.
Yeah, which family members do you not want to talk to at
Make
the
sure
holidays?
you
No, it's
name them by name.
We
yeah,
have one. I can't say her name because she watches.
We
but-
don't need to. We don't need to go there with that. I was trying.
Okay.
So, like, did you come from backgrounds where it was a whole bunch of kids and families all together, and like Santa Claus would come show up?
Ooh, let me start.
And stuff, or was it like
Craig, I
just
discussed
intimate?
my broken home already. I'm just
know.
kidding. It's not a sore spot. I made it sound sad, but it's not.
But even it might have shifted now to where it's bigger. But
Okay,
yeah.
I'll start with this one. Okay, I was the youngest of 5 growing up, and we always had Christmas morning, the whole family's together, mom and dad and the 5 kids. And then at some point, either my mom's family or my dad's family, we all got together. Every other year it was at our house, and it involved, there were like 19 cousins on one
Oh, wow.
side. And
Oh,
you
my
take
goodness.
you messing with my snake.
Sorry.
And my grandmother on my mom's side would make something for every child. But by the time I was the youngest grandchild on that side, so some of my cousins are 15, 16 years older than me, but there was always, they had children, so there was always a bunch of children. Now, as I got older and my generation started marrying off and moving, it kind of, we'd go home, like you said, when you go home, it wouldn't be the whole giant family anymore. It would just be us with my brother's kids or whoever. And it's hard now because now we're in Florida. My sister's in Georgia. My brother's in Iowa. My parents are in Illinois. You have to work harder to get together
Oh,
and be
yeah.
together at holidays. But when you do, it's so much better. What are you doing?
I'm watching you in the chat at the same time.
Is that the way you sit at home?
I am sitting in
You're
the
sitting
most
like,
tummy,
"Hi, I'm
so my
cry-"
tummy isn't hanging out of the bottom
I
of
thought
me.
you were trying to create some cleavage.
He's like,
No, I don't have to try and
Hi.
create it. It's just there.
I know.
I am actually, you bring up a good point. I'd like to hear. This is weird because it looks like I'm naked.
It really does. I'm so uncomfortable.
Do you guys have special?
This is the best.
Christmas Eve traditions, like Naked and Afraid, the Diz edition.
We'll even throw in. Because the four of you weren't here for our discussion on movies that we pre-recorded. So even if that gets thrown in there, go ahead and bring it up because we already got our fun with it. You can mention it.
I was heartbroken that I wasn't in on that conversation.
I know.
Well, yeah. Well, we were a little punch drunk when we did that one too. It was pretty late one of the days, but. Well, I think Craig is asking you to.
I'm not saying you have to talk about movies, but Rhino asked the question. I'm saying since you weren't here for the movie, you don't have to feel like you can't bring it up because we already did that.
Okay, so Thanksgiving, it's got to be the Waltons' Homecoming. That's a traditional TV show that always on, and it's a.
Is it their like Thanksgiving special? Is that what it is?
No, it's the very first. It was a TV movie before the Waltons came on, and it was different. The kids were all the same, I think, but the mother and father were different. But anyway, that and then the holidays can't start without It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh yeah.
Is that what you do on Christmas Eve? What's your Christmas Eve tradition?
Christmas
that was
Eve.
The original question.
The original question.
Yeah.
Christmas Eve is usually not Scrooge. What is it? A Christmas Carol.
Well, Jess, what do you do on Christmas Eve?
It's a Christmas Carol. We usually watch a Christmas Carol.
Okay, you only do that, and then you just go to bed. You wake up first thing in the morning.
No,
let them have their
usually what happens
traditions.
is, okay, my kids are I only have one child at home now, but everybody's got to, I'm usually the last one up. I stay up very late, and that's when I do my wrapping because no presents go into the tree
You mean
usually.
Like yo or
Yeah.
She's out in the streets and people are
I'm out
calling
there
her,
wrapping.
New
throwing
caroling.
water on her. Yeah.
No, when I do my Christmas wrapping,
woke.
and all of that goes under the tree Christmas Eve, and I like that very last being by myself at midnight right before Christmas, and just chilling and enjoying it because you know what? This is sad. My sister and I both feel the same way. Christmas decorating and the jubilation leading up to Christmas Day, okay, is the best. When the presents are unwrapped and everybody's laid back and it's over, say 2-ish on Christmas Day, it becomes such a big, we're just like Debbie Downer. And I have to fight that every year because I want it to continue. I don't want it to end. So we always play the stupidest games, not as stupid as Steve's, but we always play stupid games as we're unwrapping presents. Like you have to stand up and you pull a thing out of a hat and you have to sing this song, or you have to know who the singer was and when the song originally came out, or it might be a Christmas movie question, or we always play some sort of trivia or something to prolong the opening of the gifts, which absolutely drives Kelvin crazy because he's a unwrap it and I'm done with it kind of guy, and we make it last as long as we can. That's our biggest thing. I haven't thought about that.
See, my ideal Christmas Eve, besides family and all that garbage, is, you know, in A Christmas Story, like how they have that one shot that's like right towards the end of the movie where after all the madness and everything, it's just like
they're all just sitting back
relaxing, and it starts snowing really heavy outside, and the Christmas lights are
Christmas Eve
lighting up. I think in the movie it's on Christmas Day that they're doing that, but for me it's Christmas Eve. That's when Christmas Day is essentially a day where you just, it's another day. But Christmas Eve, that's the day. Yeah.
You're right. Just
That's
sitting
a nice
there.
way to look at it, though. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I feel like Christmas Eve doesn't get maybe the love that we could deserve, because I know that it's like, I don't mean to compare it to this because I'm not a woman and I can't have a child, but it reminds me of like the symptoms of like a postpartum depression.
Christmas Day.
Yeah, because it's just something you celebrate for so long, and then.
You said, it's all the leading up to it, you know, all the.
Yeah.
I love to decorate so much, and I love the way it looks, and I love the way it feels. It's such a feel good.
Yeah.
Just to sit there
and it's sad when it's over.
Yeah.
And it's like this depression. Like I read about it once too. There is a specific type of like depression that's associated with it, but it is hard too because it is kind of a thing where people that give. November 1st, I don't care if you put up your Christmas decorations. It really doesn't bother me. I like seeing it go up. I like seeing the lights go up. And it's not because you're forgetting Thanksgiving. It's just because you have that anticipation for this moment.
You want to
like
enjoy
your
it as
family's
long
coming
as you
together.
can.
Yeah.
Yes.
That there's something I remember always saying when I lived in Massachusetts that you could literally start to feel the air change when it got to that like those weeks. Like, it's just magic that floats through the air. And there's nothing wrong with being like, I'm ready for it and I'm trying to get in my spirit. Like maybe you're just a little more down this year and you want to bring it up.
At some point when you're young, and I mean young like a child, you get your list and the anticipation of getting your gifts for Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever, however you get your gifts, the anticipation. But at some point it turns. And we were talking about this at home the other day. At some point it turns, and now I don't care if I get a gift at all. I just want to see how happy you are with the gift I gave you.
That's what I love too.
Yeah.
I love the anticipation of when you get someone that perfect gift and then they're opening it and you get to like feel their excitement. That's so huge for me.
It is huge. And the fact that, like I said, I don't really care if there's anything under the tree for me. And sometimes, like last year, I got a pair of Bob Ross socks. Okay, that was cool. I enjoy my Bob Ross socks. They're awesome. Or just weird little things. It doesn't have to be anything huge. But then there's other people, I won't name names, Grace, that is all about, this is my list, and I'm hoping at some point it turns for her. And I think it will.
I think it does. My sisters were like that for a while too after me, and I honestly I was kind of like that too when I was a kid because we didn't have a lot of money growing up, and I had to, anytime I got a toy, I had to work for it and save money. I recycled cans, I found change in the street, stuff like that. And so at Christmas, it was that moment where, like, even if you weren't going to get it, I knew that if I made it wasn't about getting the checklist. It was about giving Santa as many options as he could to bring me. And just whatever I would get, I'd be happy with. I asked for 5 years in a row for a Ghostbusters Proton pack.
Did you
that on the last year, I was like, maybe I shouldn't ask Santa for this anymore. And
I was 30, but I got
that year, it was last year. No, and I got it. And I remember just being like, I finally had like, and that was on a year that my mom was like really, really, like I still remember it to this day, like she was so sick that year, that Christmas specifically. And I just remember like, it was like, seeing us open her presents was like the thing that made her so better. And, and it's just one of those things where like, I think like, well, if I hadn't, the idea of like, I believe in Santa Claus. I know this is a stupid thing to say, but I believe in Christmas miracles and Santa Claus and all that magic and things like that. And so I don't know, I
believe you don't receive.
Saying,
The JCPenney catalog, earmarking the pages and circling. Remember doing that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I actually remember like having to search. The Toys R Us would release a really big catalog and be like, what's the Power Ranger toy this year?
Yeah. Okay, now, name one toy off the top of your head that you got as a gift as a child that stands out in your mind. One
That's
toy.
actually a good one. Okay, we should do that for everybody and explain why. When I was a kid, one Christmas Eve, I wrote this letter. And I wrote to Santa. I was like, I just had seen Home Alone 2. And I was like, Santa, I this year I feel like I shouldn't ask for a lot, but if it's possible, do you think you could bring me a talk boy from Home Alone? I didn't even know they made them in the store. I literally wrote the letter right before I went to bed, and the next day I remember getting that talk boy, and I was like, oh, he was listening. Like, I was so good this year.
Aww, best child.
My grandfather like took out his like, I don't know what the instrument was, but he carved my name into the back of it as his house. And I remember being like, nobody asked you to do that. But then I thought it was really cool afterwards. And I was like, wow. So I think my mom maybe kept it in the attic for me because she knows it meant a lot to me. But it was one of those moments where I was like, Santa does listen. And I was very much like, I'm a good kid. I wouldn't swear. I wouldn't do any of these things because Santa was always watching. Santa was my overlord and still is, I believe. But what about you? What about you, Kylie? Do you have a really special gift that you can think of? It doesn't have to be a toy or anything, but maybe it should be a toy. So it's like something from your childhood. Yeah.
I remember getting a bike, but honestly, the thing that stands out the most to me, which is terrible, was this dinosaur that my grandparents got me. And as soon as I saw that thing, I started screaming because
You remember it, yeah.
I remember it very distinctly. It was pink and it was a brontosaur and I hated it and it made this terrible noise. So my dad tried to hide it into the closet and I was little. So the fact that I remember this distinctly is crazy to me. But if I saw it in the closet, I would start screaming again.
Freaking out?
Yeah.
Wow.
It can see me.
It can see me.
What about you, Jackie? Do you have a toy that you remember as a kid getting that you just have a special memory with?
I do. So the I was 8 and I got a dollhouse and my dad and my grandpa made it. And I was really big into dollhouses because my grandpa. So my parents were divorced like your parents were, Rhino. I was 5 when they were divorced, and when I used to go to New York for a month every summer, and so my grandpa had a factory, and we would walk. My grandma would take me at lunchtime, and they had dollhouse furniture. So it was a special store that sold dollhouse furniture, and so she would buy me a couple of rooms worth of furniture every summer when I was there. And so so the year that Santa had this giant dollhouse under the tree for me, I remember it like it was yesterday because I would walk down the stairs at my grandma's house, and so the way her stairs was it was a wall halfway up the stairs, so you couldn't see out until you were about halfway down. And I looked, and I saw it, and I started hyperventilating, and I was so excited. And my parents heard me, and so they knew what was going on, and it was just really a fun year.
It's a
because
good memory, yeah.
Yeah, they had brought all the furniture to my grandma's house. So, and they had put it all in the house.
Right. Had it all ready.
That's cute.
Oh, man.
Did you have people? Did you have dolls to run the dollhouse? Did you?
Yeah.
Okay, I have a really embarrassing story to tell you because you just said dolls in the dollhouse. So there was it was a holiday vacation for school, and this is how gay I was when I was a kid and I didn't know it. I'm sorry. I really liked Rosie O'Donnell's talk show, and I'm 8 years old or something ridiculous, and she had the Rosie O doll, and my mom gave me that, and my grandparents were in Florida because they would come down for Florida for a month every year and stay with my great-grandmother who lived down here, and we would out of school for vacation. There was no one to watch us, so we just stayed at grandma's house until my mom was done with work. And one of the closets, in the closet, I tipped over the glove thing. It was a box, like you guys know. It's a giant cardboard box that held all of our gloves.
The glove thing.
And I made a Rosie O'Donnell desk because her desks were always different. And I put a little koosh ball on it, and I set her up in a little chair, and I even made a station for John McD, the McDLT, to be playing with her. And my mom, I remember coming home that day, she was like, "What did I get you this doll for?" And I'm like, that's what you get when you buy me dolls.
That's awesome.
That's a good story.
But what about you, Kathy? What do you got?
I don't remember a special toy. I just remember, we lived in Massachusetts for a number of years, and we would come back to Pittsburgh for Christmas, and how dumb I was that the toys from Santa were in the back of the station wagon, that I didn't get a clue that
they were coming with you.
Yes. And then when we'd get to my grandmother's house, we would watch this show on TV. It was Paul Shannon's Adventure Time. And he would tell you when Santa left the North Pole. So that was our clue to go down in the basement with my uncle. And while we were down there with him watching where Santa was going, all the adult relatives were upstairs putting all the stuff underneath the tree. And I says, as I got older, it's like, so that's what that noise is upstairs.
Oh, my.
But they were going from the second floor to the first floor, bringing all the
right.
And then we'd come up going, oh, my goodness, look, see, just like on TV, Santa came.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, and my favorite when we were talking about movies, my favorite, it's not Christmas. I'm not real big into Christmas, but it's not Christmas unless I watch White Christmas. Yeah. And even here, like the thing is, because the general reminds me of my dad, that he got let go from the service. And even when I watch it here, I still go to the window to see if it's snowing outside.
Oh, wow.
And the thing was, you couldn't, this is like before DVDs and VCRs and all that stuff came. The one year my dad knew that I loved that movie so much that he went out and bought me the VCR of the movie. And I said, no. You have to catch it like when you wake up in the middle of the night
Yeah.
or whatever odd times, you can't just go, oh, it's on Tuesday at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
But I said, have to do that every year and
I love
see if
White
it's snowing
Christmas.
outside. And my kids make fun of me, but then they have to watch it too.
Yeah.
And they know the words to the
Oh, my
songs.
kids know they can.
If
Yeah.
your children don't surprise you someday with snow machines on your roof, we're gonna have a conversation.
Right?
It snowed our last year in Seattle on Christmas. It snowed on Christmas Eve, and we woke up and it was still snowing, and we had breakfast. And
See,
oh, I miss
I've
it.
been home once in 35 years for Christmas, back to where I grew up, and it did snow. I remember because Grace was little and she got stuck in a snowdrift face down, and they picked her up, and her hood was all packed with snow. You could hear her screaming, but you couldn't see her face.
That's amazing.
Did you have a favorite toy you didn't tell us about?
Okay, you know what? When we were little, growing up, we always gave presents to each other that we either had to make or something. I don't remember what year it was, but my sister was 8 years older than I am. But I remember opening up my Christmas present from her, and she had handed down her Barbies to me.
Oh, neat.
That's really nice.
2 Barbies and a Ken doll, and my mother had made new clothes for them. I mean, Ken's buttons actually worked.
Wow.
Oh my, tell me
And
more.
I still have, yeah. You know, Ken dolls back then, they were just, whatever. But
Not the
it was
pretty
like
boys
one of
we
the
have
original
today.
Barbies with the blonde ponytail, and then the one with the red, like a red perm. And I still have them. One of them we now call Krakow Barbie because she looks rough.
She's doing the best she can.
My brothers, yeah, she does what she can.
Today's modern
Well, what
world.
had happened at some point, one of my brothers, I think it was probably Lyle, had taken Barbie's head off and put it on a wiener stick
Oh
in the
gosh.
fireplace.
Oh, no.
And kind of singed the side of her face a little bit. We still have her. She just had a
Regular Sid.
I imagine.
Yeah.
I imagine this Barbie sounds like she talks like this. If this is a Toy Story scenario,
And she's put away in a shoebox in my closet. And what she's, I've lost all the clothes, but what she's wearing is the last thing I made for her was a baby blue. I cut the top off a baby blue sock and made her a dress and sewed little beads on it. And it's just like a little mini dress.
Aw.
She's styling. She's missing some fingers, and the side of her face is kind of smashed in.
Sounds beautiful.
what about you, Craig? You got any smashed in Barbies in your closet?
No. The two, I'm going to give 2 because you said toy. So the toy was, I remember I got the Lego pirate ship that every kid wanted. But of course I was too young to put it together. So my dad had to try to put it together. My dad put it together with me probably not doing
Watching.
anything at all. And the only
Sitting
reason,
beside.
and he still hates me for it, but the only reason why I mention it is because for the longest time, because of that, I thought that I could never buy Lego sets because I just remember how ticked off he was about having to build it. So I'm like, I'll never be able to build it. And now it's like we broke down and got the Wall-E set when that released. So it was like my first Legos in years and years. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so fun and stress relieving, and this is great.
Do you still have your Legos?
Maybe.
Oh,
I don't
I've got
know.
every one of Max's.
Oh, those are expensive.
Oh my! I've got them going all the
Expensive.
way back because someone was getting rid of their Legos, and I've got Legos going way back.
I'm sure I do. I just don't remember what went in boxes where, and that's one of my next trips home. But the memory that sticks out more than anything to me is I don't remember what year. I guess 98 or 99. It was always tradition, either my sister or I or one of my parents, someone got sick on Christmas. Yeah. I think there's probably only a handful where everyone was all healthy. And there was one Christmas where I got sick. And unfortunately for my dad, it was also the same year that we got Batman and Robin on VHS. And I believe I was feverish at home on the couch,
Just loving
Watching
the
it repeatedly.
absolute worst of the Batman movies.
Cool.
And he just kept waiting for me to fall asleep so he could watch Northern Exposure marathons and stuff. And
What year were you born? 89?
87.
87.
Yeah, so that one always sticks out to me because now that time has passed and I understand how terrible that movie is, I feel so bad that I made my dad,
dad
watch
had
it
to watch that
once.
live.
If I don't, it could have been multiple times. And just so my mom's happy, she made us Swiss steak on Christmas Day, not Salisbury.
Like I know what you're talking
dare
about.
you.
I love Swiss
The
steak.
the thin ones, right? And
You
make
take
the
actual steak
Yeah.
and she butters them up in Crisco.
Oh, those are so
lards them
good.
up in Crisco
Yeah.
and then pan fries them and then puts them in the roaster in the oven and makes all the gravy.
That
from
was a
things.
treat
Remember,
back then. Yeah.
You know,
That's how
you're
you made a
talking about
cheesesteak
watching
back
that
then.
movie. I can remember Max is 2.5, 3 years younger than you. How many times we had to watch Beauty and the Beast when it came out on VHS?
Yeah, but at least
Snow
that was
White.
better than Batman and Robin.
Repeatedly. And you try to watch the news
Little
or something.
town.
We only had one TV at the time. You try to watch something, just regular TV, and he'd just have a fit. And,
And before
let's
they
watch it again.
and before they say theirs, the one that is the most embarrassing for me is there's a VHS of it somewhere, but my sister got like Peter Pan dolls. And she's all excited about them, but then for some reason I'm like shrieking in the background about Wendy, and I probably just learned how to talk at that point, or was very similar. And so like I've watched it I think once or twice, and for a couple of years there I got made fun of a lot when we
Okay.
found the VHS
You're
of
gonna
it.
need
But
Okay, I gotta say
I
this.
need to find that.
Rick Williams, I need to see that
Yeah.
as soon
I
as possible.
have this thing to make it from a VHS onto your computer. So
Do you?
Yeah, Rick and Chris, if you've got the VHS, let's talk.
Yeah, we're gonna
I'm
need to
just
see
upset
that.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
I've been up there multiple times and I feel offended.
That
This
you've
will be
not
your
seen
Christmas present.
That's what I want for my
See,
Christmas
This
oh,
is my Christmas wish.
Okay.
So Tyler and Katrina. Katrina, ladies first.
Okay.
Tyler, go. I'm just kidding. Go. Katrina, go ahead.
Okay. Well, actually, so when I was younger, I loved Beauty and the Beast too, so I watched it almost every day. And I remember I always wanted a Mrs. Potts and a chip cup. So then I opened my presents and I got a Mrs. Potts piggy bank and a chip, like, I don't know, it was like a hand puppet, but my mom was like trying to find a pair and I couldn't get it. So then I got mad. And then because I wanted like I wanted a teapot.
Yeah.
And then so I took a crayon and like colored in like the top of chip so it looked like tea. And then I still have it, I think, somewhere. But then it finally came true, like, I don't know, 2 years ago. And then Tyler found one for me. And so he found me like a live action, or like, you know, like the teapot. And like, so I was able to like actually
Gracie
have like
had that teapot.
the one that I've always wanted, you know, like a real teapot.
golly.
You know? So when I opened
Take
it,
that, Mom.
I know. And so when I opened it, I started bawling, and Tyler wasn't even in the room, and my mom was like screaming. She's like, Tyler, get in here! And he's like, what happened? And I'm like, oh, I can't.
didn't even
I can't
understand
believe
what
what's going on.
I was like, what just happened to her? I was very confused.
I know.
but-
So I had to wait like 30 years. Well, not almost 30 years. I was like
That's
20,
sweet, but
27 at this time. But anyway, so I was finally able to get it. But I still have my little coin one. So, but that one's better. It's on like my like fireplace now.
What about you, Tyler?
For me,
Do you have something you were crying and screaming out Katrina's name for?
No. No.
Oh, Lord Almighty.
Get your minds out of the gutters, people. It's Christmas.
We gotta propose.
That's it. You sound like the chat.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I have a boring story and a pretty good story, I think. And the boring one is my N64. I mean, when I got my Nintendo 64, I was like that kid that
was
everybody's
a
seen the
big
video
deal.
of. Like, yeah, no, I mean,
Yeah.
but there was just nothing. There's just no great story that goes along with it besides I just played a lot of GoldenEye and Mario 64.
Was the great
you know?
story that it had the see-through controllers with it?
Oh no, that came
okay.
later.
Wait,
that
what
came
year
later.
was that? How old were you? Like a teenager?
No, I was probably 10 or 11 or something. I'm not 100%.
It was 96, I think.
Yeah, so I mean, I
Yeah,
was
that seems
11
right.
years
I think
old.
it was 96,
yeah, I was 11 years old, so it blew my mind. But I think the best story I have with a toy is they had these remote control cars called hijackers for a while. And it was a car that, you know, just
Safe.
looked like a regular sports car or whatever. And then you could press a button on the side and all of a sudden the thing would pop up and it would go into super turbo speed mode. And I was like, oh, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I waited all morning. I charged that thing all morning because, you know, you get like, you have to charge it for like 5 hours so that you get 30 minutes out of it.
Yeah.
I go outside and I'm driving it back and forth in the street. and
Oh no, something happened.
and all of a sudden just lost control of it and it just went right down the gutter. Like
Oh no.
first like 2 minutes of playing with that thing, just right down the gutter.
Not
But
even broken,
you know
just gone
what?
forever.
But you know what I have to say? It actually ends up happy because
Pennywise gave it back to you.
yeah, right. I know.
floats down
They all
there.
float down here. But we actually ended up like somehow contacting the sewer people that dealt in the city. Like they worked for the city.
Sewer people that lived under my house.
It wasn't the Ninja Turtles.
They all wore bandanas. It was such a weird thing.
It could have been
That
actually.
would have been cool.
It's like
But-
was
Raphael with his
Michelangelo.
trench coat and his hat on. Like,
Yeah.
what do you need, kid?
Yeah.
No, but they were amazing. They went down in the sewer and they like looked for it for a good while. Actually, at one point, my hopes even got worse because we were right by a big hill. Our street was right by a big hill, so all of a sudden, I'm standing there like hoping that they can find it, and all of a sudden, I just hear the thing go. And it just gets quieter and quieter and goes down the hill. But the guys were amazing, and they went down the hill and they went into that area,
Did they
and they
get it?
actually got it for me. It looked like garbage. It was covered in who knows what,
sure it smelled
but
terrible.
it still worked. And I played with that thing for that thing was like considered the luckiest toy I ever had. And I played with that
Wow.
thing for like a good couple of years after that.
Good
so,
story. Do you
yeah.
still have it?
I don't have it anymore, but
Good story.
thank you.
To the men and women who go after children's toys.
Any of you use Christmas crackers?
Oh no!
You know what
For the
Christmas crackers
I someone blew one off in my house recently, and I'm still picking up the pieces from like last year.
My sister always brings them every year. It's like a little.
That's a new thing. I didn't know about that until a couple
Oh, it's
of
been
years
around
ago.
forever.
No, no,
They have the
it's a British
presents in the
thing.
middle?
Yeah, I know. It's like a little. You pull the ends and it pops, and
I
you get a little
learned
toy
about
and a
that, like,
stupid
last
hat.
year or 2 years ago at Tyler's mom's house. I'm like, what's this?
Craig,
learned
your mouth
about
has
it
been
today.
open. Oh. You learned about it today. I was this year's old when I
here.
I
learned.
think I have a fun question to wrap up this little segment.
Please.
Which Christmas lights do you prefer?
Oh, multicolored, big ones that if they break, they're gonna burn your house to the ground. Best ones. No joke.
White lights. Soft white. I don't like the get
My friend.
out. Soft white. It's classy.
That's hard for me to answer that because I use different lights on different things.
Then you answer all those lights.
I want to know about what lights you have on what things.
Well,
What
so-
goes on the outside of your house?
The outside of the house has colored they're like little tulip shape kind of lights.
Oh, those ones
and then
are the
they have
worst, Jackie.
icicles. Yeah. And then
You just agreed with me.
No, I did not agree with you. You said those are the worst. I will say what is the absolute pinnacle of the worst Christmas lights ever? Blue Christmas lights outside.
oh, that's
I know
because
they're out there. I hate them.
they're not
Yeah,
Christmas.
they're in my neighborhood. I've seen them.
They're not Christmas lights. That's
well,
why.
they're not Christmas
They're
lights.
Hanukkah
They're
lights.
Hanukkah
So-
lights.
Yep.
My friend Jesse Clark puts them on our house every year.
No,
New York is full of them.
We had neighbors growing up every year. They celebrated Christmas. They used the blue lights. Made absolutely no sense. So ever since then, I've hated them. I can't. It was the eyesore.
Hold on,
So
I got to
I'm gonna
step
get
back then.
blue lights.
Kylie, white on the outside of the house. What's on the Christmas tree?
White.
Get out.
Oh yeah. The Christmas
Get
tree
out.
is colored.
Okay, good
The
girl.
Christmas tree are the little colored ones.
She had the right answer.
Yeah.
Eli tried to when I moved in with him. He was like, "Oh, white lights," and I'm like, or we can just throw it in the garbage where it belongs. It's fine." Teresa, outside of the house.
Colored in the outside the house is nothing right now.
Well, but in a perfect world.
In a perfect world, it would be colored.
Okay, and on a tree.
Multicolor. On the tree in the living room, the main tree is multicolored because it makes me think of my childhood when we did have the big burning down the house bulbs.
Well, those are
that
the
got,
ones from my mom.
Flaming
Yeah.
hot, yeah. The bedroom tree has white lights. The office tree
Oh my
is
goodness,
kind
how
of a
many trees do you
gold
have?
tree. And there's white lights in the dining room tree. Stella's lights are pink.
Okay,
I
see,
think
if you
when I
did it
grow
like
up, I
this,
want
I'd allow
multiple trees.
I'd allow it. Like, if you have 17 Christmas trees like
Let
Teresa,
me have
I'll,
Christmas how I want Christmas.
you
Right.
Christmas,
Tell 'em.
Christmas like this. Kathy.
Multicolored twinkling.
Oh,
Yeah, flashing or solid.
See,
Or,
we could never get the fancy ones that's twinkled. That was definitely gonna burn
or
the
the
house
bubble
down.
lights. My grandmother would
Oh,
turn
remember the bubble lights?
Bubble lights.
Yeah, we have a night light now.
The
that's-
bubble lights. I've got these little plastic things that go over the light that were my grandmother's from the 50s. And I've only got 6 left, so you put them on special lights on the tree, like near Ethel. Ethel gets a spotlight.
Wait, oh my gosh, I want to ask the 3 of you guys too, but it's like I also wanted to ask everybody their favorite ornaments. We'll have to do this on the Tuesday show too. Craig,
Okay.
your wife's here, but I'm assuming.
Yeah, we share. Well, I think I probably influenced this a little bit more than she would even care for. She likes multicolored lights outside, but
No, she doesn't. I just pushed her out of her chair because she said white lights.
I'm pretty sure she does. She likes multicolored lights somewhere.
Have you met your wife?
Where do you like
shade at you,
multicolored
and you
lights
are
at?
in the room.
What?
Where do you like multicolored lights?
I said nowhere. Do you not listen?
You complained once when you were
missed your
like, "I
chance.
wish we could have some colored lights."
In the
Okay,
bedroom.
I said I wanted red or green.
Oh, we had a
Not
lady in
both?
Biggsville that only had red lights.
Just one color.
Well, then never mind with all of that. My favorite are
You're being very
soft
rude.
white lights on the outside. I like then on the main tree, if you have 2 trees, soft white on the inside as well too. And then if you do have the fun tree with the fun ornaments, that can be multicolored lights. But that's, I like to stay standard with the soft white lights. Those to me are the most warm.
Okay.
You guys?
Nothing.
What
but
about you
fun.
guys?
Soft white on the tree, like slowly twinkling.
Okay.
Soft white on the tree, slowly twinkling.
That sounds so
Tyler,
classy.
is that what
Good
you agree with
choice.
because she's here? Or?
Hates it.
No, for me, we used to do like my traditional tree would be flocked. I know a lot of people don't love that, but I like to have a flocked tree. And then
tree?
it means you put like fake snow on it. It means you.
Oh goodness. Okay.
Like a
That's
lot.
fine. That's fine.
And then
It's wrong.
And then
It's wrong.
multicolored lights, because the multicolored lights look amazing on the white tree. to
Okay.
me.
Also,
And-
you're in California. It never
I
snows there.
take
Yeah.
exception to the fact that you're making fun of my blue and white.
That was Craig. Okay, just so we know, we have the tapes. We have the receipts. Perfect. Craig says, I hate blue and white lights. All right. Okay. Well, thank you guys for joining us for this discussion about our holiday traditions. We're going to pump it back over to Pete. He's going to give us an auction update now.
I actually want to say I meant it when I said I was very moved by a lot of what was being shared here about stories from Christmas when you were kids, and it got me thinking. And there was a story that just kind of popped into my head that I wanted to share. Now my parents weren't wealthy by any means. I wouldn't say we were like dirt poor or anything, but my mom was a homemaker. My dad worked in a factory, so. But it didn't matter. Like there were times like at the holidays, like my parents were laid off. My father would be laid off, and still they would manage to put together these amazing Christmases for us. And every year around September, I think some of the people in this room at this table will know what I'm talking about. The Sears wish book
Oh, my gosh.
would be sent out. And my mother had to hide it because if I found it, I made her life a living hell for months. But I always found it. I always found it. I would always find it. I knew it came in September. I was going to find that book. And I would pour through that book every day. And we were given a budget of $50. Now, this is 1974. And I'm, 10. So that was a lot of money.
That was a lot, yeah.
And we could go through the book and we could list out what we wanted, but we couldn't go over $50. And we weren't necessarily going to get everything that we wanted. And this, for many years as a kid, this was the routine. And it was always just such a fond memory. So a few years ago, I decided to look on eBay, and sure enough, the 1974 Sears Wish Book was available. And I still can point out the things, like the one thing I really wanted. It's really cool to go through because this is from 1974.
Oh,
so
look at the page.
you go through the fashions. And look at what these women are wearing. It's like, oh my God.
Oh my gosh. Look at that.
But there was in the children's area, there was a soda fountain machine that I wanted, and the worst, my parents would not get it for me. Oh. I am still bitter.
You need to have that.
But I literally, I still remember so many of the items on these pages
What
from
a
when I was
kid.
10 years old.
Gosh,
What a kick to have that.
And
Wow. I
I
saw
usually-
circles in there when you were flipping it, like somebody had circled a couple
It wasn't
things.
that wasn't me. I got this about 7 or 8 years ago. I found this on eBay.
Oh.
And I as a result of you, I always put it out on my coffee table every year at Christmas.
Oh, my brothers had this.
Oh, how
The
fun.
little fort.
Yeah.
1079.
See, my thing was the Planet of the Apes dolls and play sets. I had all of it.
Oh my gosh.
I had all of it.
Wow. Remember they always had like a little baby grand piano in there for kids to play. I just wanted that.
It's really cool to go through
Microscope.
and to look at the prices.
Yeah.
You know?
Mr. Potato Head's $1.99.
Wow.
Yeah.
And to think how hard our parents worked
For that
to get us
$1.99.
the gifts we wanted.
And it
just-
didn't matter. That's the thing, is it didn't matter what was going on. It didn't matter how tight things were. My parents always made. Didn't matter. Birthdays, Christmas, any holiday.
Oh, it's a Popeye Punch Me. $3.29. Oh,
$3.29 for anything, right?
trains.
No, it's really cool. It's really, really cool.
What a kid.
Isn't that great?
That is so cool.
Record players.
My mom gave me I had a thing with, they looked like 45s, but they were Disney things, and they were plastic, the size of 45s, and they had like divots in them. And so it was like a little stereo thing, and I'm like, oh, I want one of those from when I was a kid now,
Right?
because it was probably in the
Yeah.
Sears catalog.
Yeah. I mean, the Sears catalog is what, that was the
Sears
thing.
or
the
Penny's
Sears
catalog.
wish book.
Yeah.
I remember my brother got a
How
Batman
fun.
from the original TV show Batman, like a utility belt, and it had the grappling hook and everything.
Oh,
Oh my
And he'd
gosh.
be out in the backyard trying to hang. I mean, it was just cool.
Crazy, right?
Oh my
Crazy.
gosh.
I love
All
that
right.
someone pointed out that you went from wanting that soda machine now to a Coke freestyle machine. So it's just always running through with
It
you.
is. It really is. I guess I hadn't realized that. I'm sure there's something there's something Freudian in the soda. But yeah, no, I did as a kid. I wanted that in the
so
worst
cool.
way, and my mother was like,
Good.
"No,
I can hear her saying no.
no."
No,
But that was what I wanted more than
a
anything.
little
And,
soda machine.
and I was a con man as a kid, boy. I
Oh, I
would
can see that.
I would haunt her. That's it. She like, stop haunting me.
Remember Easy Bake Ovens?
Oh my
Well, Rhino
gosh,
remembers the Easy
yes.
Bake Oven.
And
I
forcing my dad to eat the crap that I cooked in that thing.
I never got an Easy Bake Oven, but my best friend did. But I never got
Oh,
one
I
because
did.
my answer was no for that one.
No, I got
Always
one.
no.
I didn't get one either. Don't feel bad. My mom's like, honey, you can bake in the big oven. And I
That's
was like,
what I-
I don't
yeah.
want that.
You want
wanted the
little
light
the light
bulb.
bulb. You want the light bulb
Oh,
cooking.
that makes abnormally
It's not pink.
small. I know.
Right. I'll go to my friend's house and use hers. She's lucky. Her mom's
This
nice.
is how fortunate we all are, to have our memories. And
Yeah.
I
think about that. And
especially in the hard times.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
wanna be able to grab for those good memories because
Yeah.
it kind of anchors you. So,
Yeah.
all right, I'm sorry, Kathy.
I was just going to say, as my parting words, if you have it good or you have those family memories, donate something to Give Kids the World, because you know that they'll appreciate it. And what better way to show your gratitude for what you're going through in your life?
Right.
And hug your kids and donate some to Give Kids the World.
Exactly.
Give those families a big memory to
Yep.
right.
to have. That's the thing, because it's almost not about things anymore, right?
Right.
That memory that they'll have.
Right. You've got the memories
from
and-
going
yeah,
there.
You're right. You're
Oh
right.
my gosh, some of the best memories.
You know, the stories they tell that the kid had never seen his dad in the pool down at Give Kids the World, but because Give Kids the World can take the handicapped into their pool with
Yeah.
the chairs and stuff, and just the different things that families got to do because of Give Kids the World.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And we, along with all of you, are now just under $46,000.
We're going to do it before I get home.
So, but yes, you have a long drive home, Miss. So I'm going to let you go, Kathy
Okay.
and Teresa.
Thank you.
We're smelling your book.
Okay, you and smelling books. You're scaring me.
That's fun.
I think we've left you out at the Welcome Center a little too long.
We'll go ahead and order you another one of those books.
What's that?
Teresa, we'll order you another one of those books. Teresa soiled that one now.
Kathy smelled it too.
All right, we're gonna let you guys.
This has been awesome.
We're gonna let you guys go.
Thank you,
Thank
Pete.
you, Pete.
And if somebody could tell Sean and Charles to work their way in here.